Hi everyone, today we're going to make a tile out of clay that we're going to put our initial on, and you can decorate the background of it however you choose, okay? We are going to start by making a slab. It's really important that you follow the instructions on how to attach two pieces of clay. I'm going to make a little bit of a smaller version for mine, just because I'm using a little bit less clay, but at home you want yours to be, it's going to be square, but around the size of your hand, okay? All right, so let's get started. The first thing we're going to do, I'm going to switch to my document camera and show you how to make a slab, okay? All right, so the first thing you're going to do is just kind of roll your clay into a ball. Don't mess around with it too much because you're going to make it more dry, okay? You can see our hands kind of soak up some of the moisture from this clay, okay? I'm going to stand up. Notice I have my work surface protected with some paper. So make sure you have paper underneath you. That's going to help protect your surface and also make sure your clay doesn't stick. Every couple times I push down, I'm flipping it over. So a couple pushes and then flip it over. Okay, a couple pushes and then flip it over. Now, if we were doing a bigger slab, we could use a rolling pin for this. But since this isn't going to be too big, it works fine just to use our hands, make it nice and flat. You want this to be about the thickness of your finger, okay? So don't make it too flat. I'm getting pretty skinny right here, okay? So you don't want it any skinnier. Let's see, about like this, okay? That's the skinniest you want to go. This is pretty thin. What you're going to do then is cut this into a rectangle or a square about the size of your hand. Okay, if you have some jagged edges here, you can use your finger to smooth things together. So you're going to cut off the extra clay and make this a little smaller. Make this into either a square or a rectangle. Okay, then we're going to set this aside. This is going to be the slab. This is where we're going to attach everything onto here. Okay, so I'm going to just set this aside, and I'm going to take some of the extra clay, just a rather small piece. You don't need a huge piece. And we're going to make your letter for your initial. So my initials would be LC, L for Laura and C for Kane. But I'm just going to choose one. I'm going to make a C. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this. No, and I'm going to make an E. I know it's not part of my name, but it's more of a complicated letter, so I'm going to show you that. Okay, so this will be part of the E right here, right, the long part. Then I need to make a couple more coils. You can always make one long one and cut it. When I'm rolling the coil, I'm rolling my hand the whole length of my hand, and I'm not rubbing it between my hands. I'm rubbing it on the table because the table is nice and flat. Okay, so I'm going to make another coil, trying to make them as even as you can. Okay, so here, let's look if we make a longer one. Okay, so I'm going to make this into kind of a cylinder shape, little small snake, and then we're going to roll a bigger snake, a coil. Okay, I need to usually stand up to do this. I feel like I can get more consistency. And if you were rolling one that's even longer, right, as it gets long, you want to use both hands. Okay, so now I can show you. You could cut this with the plastic knife that you have. Okay, so I could cut this for part, and I can cut this for part. And maybe this is too long. So you just cut as you need. Okay. All right. Now, the way that we're going to attach this is you have to score wherever you're going to attach two pieces of clay. You have to do what's called scoring. So I'm going to take my fork and I'm going to just make some rough marks like this. And then I'm going to make the rough marks for where all the parts of the letter E are going to go. Okay. The other thing you need to do is you also have to score the coil. Okay, so you're going to score the coil, kind of going on a diagonal with your fork, all the pieces. Now, when we do this, you're creating some little pockets that when we add what's called the slip, we're just using water. So you need a little water in your cup. Okay, you're going to add the water onto both. You're not trying to rub away those textures that you made. You're just adding a little bit of water, just a tiny amount, okay? I'm gonna stick this on, and that's creating like the glue, okay? We're creating almost like the glue for the letter. I'm gonna put this on, and if I need to trim anything, I can always trim it, okay? I'm gonna put this on. Oh, I don't know if I put water there. There we go. Okay, this water and the scoring are acting like our glue to make sure that our clay coils stick down, and when they dry, they don't fall off. If we don't do this process, as they dry, they'll fall apart. So that's why we do the scoring and the slip. Slip is normally a little bit of diluted clay in the water and like a really liquidy clay. But for our purposes, we're just using water, which works fine for us, okay? Now I'm gonna cut any of the extra clay off that I don't need for my letter. And you can take, you probably can do this even with just your finger, kind of smooth these together. And if it's a little bit dry and it's not smoothing out that well, you can always take just one little finger of water, and you can use that to smooth things out. Don't use more than one little finger of water though. I mean, look at this one dot of water. Do you see how far that's going? I'm able to smooth out everything on this whole tile. Sometimes when we go too crazy with the water, when this dries, it actually becomes more cracked. Okay, so I know my letter's backwards because it's the way the document camera works. So I apologize for that. Okay, now you can use your extra clay, and in the same way, you can add anything you want to your tile. So if you want to make, yours is going to be a little bit bigger, right? You can see I've made mine really small. You want yours about the size of your hand, so it would be a little bit bigger, okay? Probably about, if you have a ruler at home, about 5 inches by 5 inches or so. But if I wanted to make a little flower on here, I would do the same thing. I have to score. I roll a little ball for the center. I have to score the flower, and I also have to score the tile where it's going. Little slip, and then stick it together. Okay. Now for the petals, I mean, you don't have to add a flower. You could add a Among Us crewmate, or you can add a snake wrapping around. You can design whatever you decide you want to add, okay? If I wanted to make the petals or anything you're making, you can roll coils. You can mold with your hands. Okay, so if this is going to be like a little petal, I'm going to now score this. I'm going to score where it's going to go. I get my dot of water and then stick, and you can blend however you need to, okay? But you can make things by rolling coils. You could make a slab, make another little slab and cut things out, okay? And add those, maybe shapes, things that you've cut. If I was gonna add a triangle down here, I have to score, slip, and slip, okay? So any designs that you want to add that you can, and you can cut them out of slabs, you can mold them with your fingers, you can make balls. That helps to kind of do the molding, make a little bit of a ball, and then you can shape it just with your fingers. Or you can make a slab and cut things out of the slab as necessary or as you desire. Okay, I'm going to make 2 more petals on here. And then I will show you the last thing we're going to make and add. The last thing we're going to add is some little details using a pencil or a colored pencil, whatever you have at home. Make sure it's fairly sharp, and you don't want to push hard with the pencil. Okay, do not push hard with the pencil. If you push hard, you're going to push right through your project and make a hole in it. Okay, so you got to be careful and just press really gently. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Take the pencil, and you can use that to add designs. So if I wanted to even carve around here to make this a little more evident, you can make little carvings like this. Like I said, just make sure that you sometimes you have to kind of take the excess clay off, okay, so it doesn't become sharp when we put it in the kiln. Like I said though, just be careful that you do not push too hard so that it's going all the way through the clay. You don't want to go all the way through the clay. So you can use your pencil, you can make little carvings. Works best if you're just doing like line work, right? If I just want to do a few little lines to add some details, okay? This triangle down here. Okay, the last thing, this is your choice. Some students like to do this and some do not want this. This can either just be something that lays flat or stands up on a bookshelf. If you want this to be able to be hung up on the wall, then you want to put a hole in the top. So to do that, make sure you're not too close to the edge, okay? To make sure you're at least like a 1/4 inch down, okay? Push straight through, okay, so that you've made a hole. When you flip this over, you can see it's kind of rough now on this side. So you have to smooth that out just a little bit, right? Maybe take your pencil and just clean that up, okay? And this is your initial tile. Add another little wave here. This is your initial tile slab project. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with.